one, we share the pain of our distance. But with every mile between us comes the strength we pull from ourselves. We conquered our fear, and now we guide each other through the cold and the dark.
Far from sanity, for a piece of honesty. Life in misery, the biggest price to pay. Far from sanity, I know we grow stronger the more we resist. Life in misery, the biggest price to pay.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to yet another Friday. Whew. We made it. We made it. Whew. Everybody take that in. It is Friday. Welcome, everybody, if you're on the other side of the ocean, Europe, Asia, India, Australia. Hope you're enjoying your Saturdays or walking into your weekends. Latter half of the day for the folks in the UK. Here in the States, hope you're waking up to an awesome Friday. I got my tea in hand. Listen, I gotta say, like one of the best parts, I tell you guys all the time. I love Friday streams. Friday streams are hands down my favorite. One of the things that I love about Friday streams is the chat across all three platforms, right? LinkedIn, Twitch, and YouTube. This early in the morning is amazing. We've got a very lively conversation over in LinkedIn. Nick Coulter over on LinkedIn was commenting on the hackers and metal. We got Pamela over on LinkedIn as well to ask what kind of tea I'm drinking this morning. YouTube's banging. I see Security Guru guy over on YouTube. Good to see him all the time. And then obviously Twitch always leads the way with the hype in the morning, but it's good to see everybody across all the platforms. So welcome to yet another awesome Friday. Pam, to answer your question, drink a little chai latte this morning. This is my go-to homemade chai latte. I do everything except for go pick the tea leaves and the coffee beans myself. But I do self brew everything and drop it into the mug and then consume it. And this is the hype fuel, y'all. This is the hype fuel. I love it. Love it. All right, welcome to Friday. This is our Friday morning AMA stream. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I did see a bunch of first-time chatters over on the Twitch side. Good to see some first-time chatters. If this is your first time here, welcome to Friday. We usually do these types of streams every Friday where we sit down with you and I give you guys some time to sit here and we talk about whatever's happening in the news, whatever's on your mind, whether it's cybersecurity related or otherwise. And it's just a dedicated time for us to sit down and chill. We do this because we have a bunch of thematic streams that we do throughout the week. This week's Tuesday, we had our threat brief, what did we talk about on Tuesday for the threat brief? Does anybody remember what we talked about Tuesday for the threat brief? Outages. And what happened yesterday? It was a freaking outage that happened yesterday. It's Providence, I'm telling you. It's Providence. We'll talk about that here in a little bit too. With that being said, we do want to kind of cover just a handful of rules, and really it's really only two. We're really kind of simple. It's really only two. First rule, keep chat free of any racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist, or otherwise toxic behavior. We do have a zero tolerance policy for any of that type of behavior in chat across all three of the platforms. just be a good person. That's all we ask. Be a good person. We encourage civil discourse. We're not asking everybody to agree with everybody else's opinions, but if you do engage in discourse inside a chat, remember there are humans on the other side of that keyboard for which you should engage in as well. With that being said, we do have moderators in chat. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to our moderators each and every stream. They are here voluntarily. I pay them with bad compliments and terrible puns. They don't like it very much, but they are here free and voluntarily. They're here because they believe in the mission of this channel, and they believe in getting you the best information that we absolutely possibly can across the cybersecurity industry, and making sure that wherever you are in your career, you're getting the information that helps you progress forward. With that being said, moderators are here to keep chat free of any racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist, or otherwise toxic behavior. They do work tirelessly to do so, and so I want to give out my huge appreciation to them, as always, for doing that. I ask you to be respectful of the mods. If you do have a problem with a mod or a mod action or anything that happens in chat, I highly encourage you to take up with the mods. Mods keep me in check a lot as well. It's a great opportunity to pump the Discord, hop on over to the Discord, and make sure you are in the Discord channel. Discord is also where we do the giveaways, because now that we're live streaming across all the platforms, we do our giveaways now on Discord. We do our giveaways on Discord. So make sure that you are over on Discord if you want to participate in future giveaways. And let me just say one thing. We do have logging turned on the Discord. We're good security folks like that. We have logging turned on. And it is amazing the amount of people that come to this stream or come to any stream where we do giveaways. And they're like, "Ooh, giveaways. I want to participate in the giveaway." And they hop over to the Discord. They join the Discord. They hit the giveaway channel. They hit the giveaway notification, and then they leave the Discord. My friends, if you leave the Discord, you don't get the giveaway. I'm just saying, like, if you're just like, "Oh, I'm just going to hop into the Discord, I'm going to take the giveaway, and then we'll bounce out," like, you're not getting the giveaway. Stay, hang out, have fun, commune with your fellow cybersecurity professionals. We always talk about networking and things like that, so take the opportunity to network in Discord. With that being said, we'll probably have some gaming stuff going on. We do recently, yes, for folks who are interested, we have recently added a Dune channel to the gaming, right? So if you go into Discord and you go on the left-hand side, you'll see a couple gaming channels for a couple folks who are doing some gaming. We have cyber insecurity guilds across multiple gaming platforms. World of Warcraft, I forget where else. Oh, we got one in Diablo 4. I forget where else we've got one. We also have Cyber Insecurity over on Dune, on one of the Dune servers. So hit up Maz, hit up Jens, hit up Bayou Beast, hit up any of the usual characters, and they will help you out getting into the Cyber Insecurity Guild over on Dune if you are over there playing Dune. I gotta say, like, is it full? No. Wanting to buy a guild master for a Cyber Insecurity server on a different Cyber Insecurity Guild on a different server. Dune's pretty fun. I haven't got a chance to play. This week's been hella crazy. I can talk about a couple of things that have been hella busy this last couple of weeks. I got to play last week, and then that was it. I haven't really got to play. The big reason why I didn't get to play, Carmen came home from a conference in San Diego and brought COVID home, so I had to disinfect the entire house from COVID. Ugh. Annabelle. You can tell I've been watching the Annabelle series. Inebriated. It ended up being all right. Like, I gotta say, like, it's a different kind of game. It's survival. I'm not I'm not overly into the survival games, but I love the Dune story, and I love the Dune War, and I love big open world multiplayer type of games. And so I did. I thought it was pretty good. So I'm enjoying it when I do get a chance to play. But do hop on over to the Discord. We got lots of other stuff. Other than the gaming stuff, We've obviously got career guidance. We've got a career advice channel. The good thing about the career advice channels is it's always awesome to see people drop in with asking career questions and to see the community rally around people asking career questions to give them tons of perspective. And that, my friends, is exactly one of the best reasons why you should commune and join the Discord and cyber, or people with your fellow cybersecurity people. You get lots of perspectives on how things are. So hit the rules, hit the mods, hit the Discord. Let's talk about a programming note. Programming note really quick. We are going to add another show to the repertoire. Unless I hear differently, it should be this coming Wednesday. Or not. Well, we're going to have the first part of that. You can tell the caffeine's hitting. My brain's working faster than it needs to work. Wednesday night, we're going to do Old Guy Wednesday. Yeah, occasionally. The caffeine's supposed to help it work, people. The caffeine's supposed to help it work. Anyway, Wednesday night, we're going to do a rare Old Guy Wednesday. You know that we save those for when we've got really special guests on. Wednesday night, we're going to have Brandon Krieger on. Brandon's a longtime supporter of the channel. He used to stream with us before he got propelled into his career. And he's spent the last couple years neck deep, honestly, living the cybersecurity dream. And so he's recently resurfaced himself. He's gotten to a stable part in his life. And so he's going to come back to the fold, and he's going to come back to streaming with Cyber Insecurity. So Wednesday night, we're going to have Brandon on the stream. You guys have got to tune in Wednesday night. I know it's going to be late for some of you guys, in Europe and India and on the other side of the pond, but I absolutely promise you that you're going to want to tune in and kind of hear Brandon's story, hear his expertise, hear what he brings to the table, because Brandon is going to come back on Wednesdays, starting in July. One of the mods, I think Fraser's modding and producing for him, can give you his schedule. But in July, Brandon will be on every Wednesday, sharing cybersecurity advice and perspectives with you as well. So we are going to be adding to the programming, and I'm super excited to have Brandon back with the team. This is also true. This is also true. 100%. Listen, like this AI thing has made me want to do so many random ass Neal streams. It's been absolutely amazing. I have wanted to turn on the camera several times this week. I've got my son here for the next couple weeks, and obviously trying to spend as much time with him as possible. So there will come a time. That was programming wise. Did the programming, did the rules, did the mods, did the giveaways. I think I hit everything, Beard. I think I hit everything. I'm sure I missed 8 things. Absolutely. Anyway, woo! It's Friday. April, sorry you didn't like the music. Apologize. We try to switch it up every now and then. Sorry you didn't like the music. Pamela over on LinkedIn says, why are you desiring PGA tournaments? I mean, their environments are lovely and their support staff. Listen, I enjoy the challenge of golf. And I said this before. I've said this to several people. Golf has given me a much different perspective on cyber. Golf's given me a much different perspective on life in general. Listen, I found golf. I didn't find golf because of cancer. I decided to get serious on golf because of cancer. I needed a challenge to get my mind working away from thinking about cancer, and golf was a fantastic opportunity for me to think about something else that wasn't cancer. And so I took the opportunity with golf to get my mind working on solving problems that were, pretty challenging for me to solve, things that I hadn't solved problems for in the past, and figuring out how to be awesome in golf was absolutely one of those challenges that I bit off way more than I could chew, but I was super happy for it. And in the process, I realized, I'm actually pretty good at it. I'm pretty decent. and there's an opportunity for me to see how awesome I can make myself. The PGA Tour is pretty meritocratic. So right this week, where's Outcast at? Where's my golf fans? Outcast, Sonic, a bunch of folks like that who are golf fans with me in chat. Right, this week is the week of the U.S. Open. The U.S. Open has a history of saying, like, if you can get here, if you can compete in an open format against the hardest of conditions, and you can make it through grind after grind after grind, no matter where you are. There are people playing in the U.S. Open this week who were dentists. The guy who made the eagle on the first hole yesterday was a dentist who happened to be playing golf in his spare time to get good, playing in the U.S. Open this week. Right? And so it's truly meritocratic that you can absolutely show up on the day of the tournament, play your ass off, and you could potentially win. You don't have to go to draft days. You don't have to worry about having an agent. You don't have to worry about any of the bullshit that happens in some of the other sports. You show up for a Monday qualifier, and if you can make it through a Monday qualifier, you can play with the pros on Wednesday, and you have a real chance of winning a professional tournament. And so when things are truly meritocratic and there's no gatekeeping, sounds like the ideal place for cybersecurity, right? Don't you wish that we had that level of entry welcomeness into cybersecurity where you could just show up and be awesome? And if you're awesome when you show up, you can join the club? To me, that's what I love about golf. It is truly the most meritocratic sport ever. Let's talk about the outage yesterday. Again, there's not much to talk about. I mean, listen, we live. This speaks to what God, what's his name? Jason. Jesus, it's Friday. What Jason and I talked about on Tuesday, right? Outages are going to happen. Outages are going to happen. You cannot control them. And they are impactful to business. They are impactful to business. We were having this conversation easily yesterday as we were talking about some of our AI functions, and we were talking about redundancy, and we were talking about all we were tabletopping basically, how to build layers of redundancy into AI systems because, a lot of the AI systems were out this week, right? I think at one point in time, OpenAI was out. Yesterday, Gemini was out a lot. And so, building business redundancies, we oftentimes hear it referred to as BCP, right? Business continuity plans, right? I think we have a tendency sometimes to shun those things because they're not cool, they're not sexy, they don't represent a mainstream cyber tech activity like a lot of people want, right? But in reality, that can be almost as much of a cyber-related, incident as anything else. What if your entire cloud SaaS EDR platform was on a cloud system that was impacted by the outage yesterday? What do you think that does to your visibility? Right? What do you think that does to your visibility if your entire EDR cloud SaaS platform goes down? Right? Is that not a cyber incident? If you have zero visibility for your EDR platform in your organization, don't you think that represents a pretty significant issue for your cybersecurity posture? Right? And so those things do affect us, and they do mean that we do have to pay attention to them. We have to build systems around them, and we've got to pay attention to when it happens. I thought it was kind of ironic that we talked about outage the other day, and then we ended up with an outage this week. Where's that chat? Is that over on Twitch? Yeah, this chat over here is over on Twitch. We don't have a bot that combines all the chats together, unfortunately. So our bot only pays attention to Twitch. It's a legacy bot. It is what it is. But I still see all the chats, Kevin. I still see all the chats. Outage is big. Outage is bad. Pay attention to them. I did have a good meme. I shared it inside of Cyber Insecurity Discord. Internet goes down, and all the CrowdStrike engineers are looking around like, was that us? I hope that wasn't us. Hi, Mama. I love Hyperword. This dude's so funny. Netherlands, right? I got that one right this time. Not Sweden, Netherlands. Holland, right? That's where you are. All right. I really tried super hard. I really didn't try that hard to not talk about AI, but I made it 30 minutes, okay? I made it 30-ish minutes. I'll never get it right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Let me just say this. You're not wrong. It's happening. South Carolina. Wait, so hyperwork, don't feel bad, right? Because Callie, I know I've known Callie for since he's been on the stream for years, and I know that he is in South Korea. And at one point in time in sub chat, I was like, "How's South Carolina?" Way off the map. Way off the map. Orc the Borker, thanks very much for the gifted subs, for 5 gifted subs. If you just got gifted a sub, congratulations. You now have an exclusive pass into sub chat tonight. Make sure you do hang out inside of sub chat. Take advantage of those benefits. I do want to talk about some AI stuff. Surprise, I know. Neal wants to talk about some AI stuff. Listen, I got a lot of stuff. I told you guys. I told you I'm gonna do more and more AI stuff. It's coming, right? It's coming. I'm gonna drop a link in chat. This is a Forbes article, so I apologize in advance for being a Forbes article. Exclusive. New Microsoft Copilot flaw signals broader risk of AI agents being hacked. What'd you think I was gonna red pill you into how awesome AI was? No, I'm a pragmatic cyber executive, and I report the good and the bad. I report the good and the bad. And so I present to you some of the first, what I think would be some of the first really bad news that we've seen in AI from a hacking perspective. And in all transparency, this got sent to me from a CISO that I know who is actively working on deploying Microsoft Copilot AIs. And I'll share you a little bit of the back and forth with the CISO, right? In terms of the article, he sends me this article and his immediate response is, oh, actually, let's send this over to LinkedIn. I forgot to send this to LinkedIn and I forgot to send it to YouTube. My bad, y'all. There it is. Yeah, I know. He says, this CISO says, same old stuff with new clothes. And I think that very much, I think that right there is definitely a sentiment that I want to talk about, right? So we've got this Microsoft, ecosystem of AI and copilots that's going on. We've got, this I would call this a pretty significant issue. This one that's being reported in Fortune, right? Where AI agents could mistakenly receive malicious instructions from an attacker that could then cause emails or information disclosure to be done, through the actions of the AI agent. I'd call that one a pretty interesting and severe attack method. But there's a lot of mentality when it comes to exploits, right? And so this is a very seasoned CISO. He has been a CISO at large Fortune companies. He's been CISO at some massive, well-known, I can't say the names, but if I were to tell you the names, you'd recognize them, right? He's been around the block for a minute. He's very well successful. And he's actively moving forward, trying to get AI deployed with his company in the most secure fashion possible. So he is leaning in. He is probably one of the more progressive AI evangelists that I talk to on a regular basis here in the industry. And he sends over a hack, and his instant response isn't, holy shit, the world is falling. We got to get rid of AI. Everybody get the fuck out of here. And I think that should tell you something, right? I think that should tell you something, right? Now, I know what some of you cynical folks are going to say. I'm surprised Beard hasn't said it in my ear yet. Well, that's because he's an idiot. Is it? Is it? Or is it because he's matured in his career to understand that there are issues everywhere? And that the problem with security isn't that we're trying to shut out all the issues, it's that we can't make the business build risk around it. Right? They're going to continue to deploy Microsoft Copilot. He follows on, he says some other stuff. Anything with Microsoft will have issues and be a big target. So follow best practices, build where they don't exist. This is why I don't want to use Microsoft to secure Microsoft. That's not defense in depth. Right? And so they understand, like good security practitioners know how to see the technology trends in the industry, know that the industry is going to move in that direction, and they pivot the defenses to follow the direction of the business. Right? Nick makes a good statement over on LinkedIn. Paranoia is a virtue in our field of work. I absolutely agree with you, Nick. This isn't a downgrade of the need of paranoia in cyber. Like, let's make that expressly clear. We are who we are, and we are as awesome as we want to be because of our levels of paranoia. Make no mistake about it. I will die on that sword. But for years, we've allowed that paranoia to stop us from being effective at securing the enterprise, and we've gotten the reputation of being a no person. Right? We need to be less of a no person, and we need to be more about like, okay, I acknowledge that risk. How can we pivot the business? How can we work around it? He knows that the organization is going to continue to deploy Microsoft Copilot. He can't stop that. But what he can do, and he says it, this is why I don't use Microsoft to secure Microsoft. That's not defense in depth. Right? And that's the takeaway here. Acknowledge that you're going to be pushed in a direction, and acknowledge that you have to do some things to pivot your defensive strategy around that. Right? That wasn't the only AI thing I wanted to talk about, but I wouldn't be doing my due diligence if I didn't at least talk a little bit about some latest security stuff that's out there. There's a lot of other security things that I've been mulling with when it comes to AI, especially as I've been diving into this a lot. I'm aggregating some resources that I'm gonna try to put out to everybody. Things like vulnerabilities around MCP or model context protocol. Different types of prompt injection attacks, things like that. So I'm still working through a good number of resources that I am going to put out there. So stay tuned for that as we continue to put forth some more effort into AI. Speaking of AI, I keep, again, just in the essence of keeping you all informed. Obviously, I talk to a lot of CISOs. I talk to a lot of security teams, not just personally, but also as my role as CISO at Query. I'm constantly out in the community talking to folks all the time. I had a very interesting conversation this week. We oftentimes ask in this channel, as a team, right? And when I say a team, a cybersecurity team, cyber insecurity team, whatever the case is, kind of like AI sucks. AI is not going to take my job. Maybe AI is going to take my job. There's a lot of people out there that are asking if AI is ever going to take the job, and people who are cynical about AI's role in security operations. I was on a call with a senior VP of a Fortune 100 company. Obviously, I can't say the names of some of these, right? But it was a Fortune 100 company, so very large, who had been tasked to go out to the market. Leadership, CISO, CIO, tasked this person, right, to go out into the market and evaluate as many of the AI SOC companies as they could find, and to report back their findings. So this is a Fortune 100 company who is now taking a senior VP away from doing their day job. Well, I mean, they still have to do their day job, obviously, but giving this senior VP the additional duty to evaluate the feasibility of AI SOC platforms in the market space today. That's how much noise is being made in the market, for better or worse, right? For better or worse. Apparently Beard wants you to drop some duty emojis in chat because I said duty. Anyway, so obviously, like, the cynical side of us in cybersecurity, right, is like, oh, well, that's the effect of marketing. Absolutely. That is the effect of marketing right there. It is so marketized that Fortune 100s feel that they really need to figure out what's in this space because they have no idea. They have no clue. And so they're literally looking for people to distill the hype around AI SOC. Right? Secondly, if they're giving somebody the leeway to go out there and figure this out, don't you think that that's a precursor to making a buying decision? Right? Again, they have to find something that meets their business need. They're not going to buy something for the sake of buying something. I understand that. We're not preaching that. But for those who have been around for a minute, you can remember in 2018, 2019, 2020, when AI and ML was all over everything. This was when CrowdStrike first released their AI. No hate to CrowdStrike, right? This is when everybody was talking about AI and ML in their DLP products. CASB was like AI, ML this. Proofpoint released their AI, ML. It was all over the place in 2019 and 2020, right? Nobody gave a shit in 2020. Everybody was like, LOL, we recognize you're putting AI and buzzwords into your marketing just so that you can say that you're doing something advanced. We know you're full of shit. Get out of here, right? Unequivocally, those who have been around for a while can attest to that. That's how it used to be, right? Now, and this is what I've always told you guys, you know it's a big thing when broad spread adoption happens. And that's what we saw with ChatGPT. I'm not talking about broad spread adoption in cyber. Like, some of you think that the world exists inside of your cybersecurity mindset, when in fact it doesn't. When ChatGPT is so easy that my mom can use it on her cell phone, and Perplexity is better than Google, and Google loses 7% of its market cap because it's no longer the predominant player in search, that's commoditization and adoption. Right? And so when commoditization and adoption happens, it becomes a mainstream topic. It's on CNBC every day. It's on CNN every day. It's on Fox News every day. It's in the President's Daily Brief every day, right? There are entire national security strategies being developed around AI. When that shit happens, it is a conversation topic. And when it is a conversation topic, CEOs and CIOs are going to turn around and say, do we need to pay attention to this? This is the soapbox. It's coming. I'm pulling it out right now. You can see the soapbox is leaving from underneath the desk. I'm standing on top of the soapbox. If the world is paying attention to AI and you're over there like, how do I get my CEH? Congratulations, you're a baddie. You are behind the curve. The world is moving in the direction of AI. Get off your fucking ass and pay attention to it. I said it. I said what I said. Right? It is going to be in your face whether you like it or not. So you can either get on the bus or you can get left behind. The coffee cup is officially empty, which means we are officially fully caffeinated. So what do? I go to my pre-workout for more caffeine. So it was interesting talking to this individual who's out there looking at the marketplace at the AI stuff. Just some things that I mean, listen, I'm not saying that there's anything absolutely amazing out there right now. There really isn't, right? Except for Query. Just kidding. I was just kidding. And that's what this individual said. He said that there's a lot of people out there that while they've got it in their marketing stuff, they're still fundamentally trying to figure it out. Right? They're still fundamentally trying to figure it out, which is good. That tells us, like, so I know that there's some of you, like I know some of you out there who hear my voice are like, oh God, am I late? You're not late to the party. Right? There are companies out there right now still trying to figure it out. So you are not late to the party. Which is good. It means there's a lot of opportunity for you to continue to get in. Where do you start? Right? Because that's oftentimes let's start there. Let's start with a where do you start, right? It is very, very easy to self-host. Right? There are lots of opportunities for your self-host. I'm not saying go out there and make you a ChatGPT version 2.0, but there are people literally putting models on their cell phone to self-host models on their cell phone. Right? And so the first thing you can do is just start playing with a model locally. Understand the files that are involved. You know, we talk about like breaking things, right? For my hackers out there, for my defenders who like to reverse engineer stuff to figure out how it works so you can understand how to better protect it, start with putting a model up on your local host so you can see the files and what's involved with getting a model stood up locally. I saw Stuns talk about Windmill and we talked a little bit about the AI workflow stuff, right? AI workflows are nothing more. Listen, let's be 100% honest. AI workflows are nothing more than the SOAR days. Right? If you played with Phantom and Demisto when they were open source before they got bought by Palo Alto and Splunk respectively, right? If you played with Ansible, go out and play with AI workflows. AI workflows are hella fun, right? And it truly does give you an opportunity to automate with AI some of the things that you do regularly. I'll give you a great example. A great example. We had a responsible disclosure come in through, and again, I thank you to the community members. Actually, a community member who reached out to me on Discord, said, "Hey Neal, where do I send responsible disclosure stuff to?" I pointed them to our security and compliance page, and they sent us a responsible disclosure. So kudos to them. Thank you very much for responsible disclosing. I really do appreciate that. They ended up finding something that actually wasn't a CVE, wasn't being reported, was nowhere to be found, and actually when we went to go digging for it, was buried in the comments section on the issues tab in GitHub. So it was a project where somebody had highlighted something, brought it up as an issue, never did a code commit, it was not in the pipeline, they didn't fork the project, there was never a CVE created from it, they just posted it in issues. And there was no acknowledgement from the developer for over a year, and it just lay dormant in the issues section of GitHub. Right? One of the hardest things in the world to protect against. I wrote an AI workflow that now uses our software bill of materials to go scan the issues in every repo of every software package we use to see if there's anything that we need to be paying attention to. And it's much, much faster with AI to do that than it is for me to write an Ansible script or a Python playbook or anything else. So just go find things like that you can go automate. And you'll be like, that's the easiest way to learn this. It was a good find. Absolutely, Sonic. It was a good find, right? It was a great find. And again, like I was able to use the GitHub MCP server, I was able to use the GitHub API, and I was able to automate it through N8N and an agentic workflow. And I basically have an automated vulnerability scanner that will scan all the GitHub issues, drop them into a Postgres database, and continue to monitor it just like I would the rest of my vulnerabilities. But those are easy ways for you to get started, is to find problems like that. And again, this isn't about, listen, let's make something expressly clear, right? Some of you are like, oh, I don't need AI for that. I can do it this way. That's right. And in the old days, you didn't need a cell phone, right? You could just pick up a landline and call somebody unless they were on the road, right? Just because it's there doesn't mean you have to use it, but if you're trying to learn it, it makes sense to find ways to use it so that you can find its limitations and successes. Right? This is a great jumping off point, right? This is stuff you can do here. Absolutely. Thank you, Hexit, for this. Olama LM Studio. I run both of those on my local machine. I've played with the Cisco foundational model. It's over on Hugging Face. If you're not familiar with the terms that are on the screen or that I'm using, I'll ask a mod to drop a couple of helpful links. But Olama, because apparently saying llama confused a lot of people, Olama, is a way that via command line you can run a lot of models on your local hardware. LM Studio works great for Macs, especially Apple Silicon based Macs. You can get a lot of the MMX or MLX images, and they run pretty efficiently on Apple Silicon. And then you can go to repositories like Hugging Face. Hugging Face is basically the GitHub of foundational models that exist out there. And so you can download the models off of Hugging Face and you can play with the models, and the models end up being pretty specific. Right? So like I've got a stock options trading model, right? That's got all the analyzed stock options tradings for the last 30 years, right? Type of thing. There's the links. Beard just put them in there. Thank you very much, Beard. Right? These are all places where you can start to play with this. Exactly. This 100%. Build the automation anyway. Right? This isn't about like let's call a spade. Right? Dan Wood, Chief Information Security Officer. What's up, Neal? Love N8N. If you love N8N, I've been playing with Langflow, I've been playing with Flowwise, and I've got it on my to-do list, thanks Stuns, for Windmill. Those are the next three. I've been playing with Langflow, I've been playing with Flowwise. Windmill is the next one on my list. If you love N8N, go check out those three as well. Play with it, right? This isn't about, again, let's be a little transparent, maybe a little harsh, right? This isn't about making your company better. I'm not here to tell you to go build an automation so your company thinks you're a rock star or so that your company can save time or money. I'm here telling you, take the challenge, build the automation so you know how to play with the tools. Right? This is about your learning. So take it and go with your learning. Don't worry. Like, take the challenge. Like, if you've got something that you're automating, you're like, man, I would automate that, but screw my company. I'm not interested in helping my company out. It's not about your company. It's about your learning. Right? It's about you making yourself better. It's about giving you resume fodder. It's about giving you a talk track that you can use with your future employer that says, I have that skill set. Nobody else on your team is looking at AI or AI workflow automations. I have it. Pay me more money. Period. Dot. Into discussion. Right? Stop looking at those things. Right? Stop looking at those things like, I'm not going to help my company. No, what you're doing is you're helping yourself. Right? You're helping yourself. Right? That's what you're doing. I don't know how else to put it, right? Your companies are going to be behind on this. Your companies are going to be behind on this. And so if you're waiting for your company to catch up before you get the expertise, you're going to be behind. Right? And so take the initiative and go out and learn this stuff. Thank you very much. This is why we do these AMAs on Friday, where I sit here and I BS with you. Make sure you get your questions dropped in chat. Mods will grab them, pick them up, push them up on screen as we answer them. I told you guys we'd be doing a lot more AI stuff. Beard got on to me the other day because I wasn't showcasing my work and my learnings. That is a flaw of mine, not showing, but I have so much in my head that I don't always know the best way to get it out of my head other than to talk to you guys on stream, which is why I want to do more streams, because it's easier for me to sit here on camera and brain dump on you than it is for me to put it up into GitHub. I'm working to try to get better about giving more information. This opportunity. I did write a very good piece. I thought it was a very good piece. I mean, I welcome you guys' opinion as to whether it was a piece or not. I'll drop it into chat. Would really, really love some opinions on the piece. But a lot of, like, I always do this, right? Where I dive head first into a concept, and I learn a shit ton about it. And then I create theories, right? And I have no problem putting my theories out there in the universe to basically ask the universe if my head's screwed on straight or not, but despite what BeardSec and my wife will tell me. And so I put this piece out there. Please tell me if this piece is way, way off track, right? I asked for your input. I asked for this. You don't count. You also cannot count, exactly. And so, like, I do want your feedback on this piece. I'm curious, because this is how I think. With this way, like, I do have a belief, and I'll kind of talk a little bit about this piece. You can go read it, and you can read the what I put in behind it. There have been numerous stories that have hit the public. Yeah, this is exactly what we were talking about earlier in Discord, Stuns. I took our conversation and I was like, I'm going to write about this. Right? I have a theory. If you read a lot of the business news, talks about how people's interface with knowledge resources has changed, right? So let's take that apart. It used to be people would go to Google, they would search in how to be a hacker, and they would hit enter. And they would get whomever had the most SEO'd, or search engine optimization on the page, and that's what they took as gospel. Now, people are going to Perplexity. People are going to ChatGPT. People are going to Grok. People are literally seeing things on Twitter in real time and adding Grok to confirm or deny whether that's true or not. So instead of like seeing a news article and then taking the news article and going somewhere else to determine if the news article was real or not, they're now just adding Grok and asking Grok if it's real. So my point of all of this is that we are seeing a psychological trend in human behavior shift. Right? We're seeing the psychological behavior shift of humans away from simply going to Google and searching for something, or even the research basis in which how most people research things, shift from a Google search to a chat window. Now, if we can agree on that, then at some point in time, every software developer in the world will start to move their interfaces with how you interact with their product to mirror that same human behavior function. It is a natural born fact. Look at Siri. What do? You pull the drop down. You've got a search bar. Very much the same way that you would have if it was a Google search, right? You're going to see software change, recognizing that the human wants to interact with a chat interface more so than a search interface. And those are two vastly different things. And so if you take that construct and you continue to extrapolate it out, it is only natural that we will see security tools move towards the place where security engineers are going to interact with a chat interface as much, if not more, than they will with a search interface. And so my premise, the paper that I wrote, the paper that I linked, theorizes and expands upon that theory and that premise that says that we will see a fundamental shift towards the analyst with how they interact with security tools in the future because of this. This is the right question. I love Beard. He knows how to flow this conversation. This is 100% the right question. How might this affect people's ability to perform their own research instead of trusting what an AI bot says? Blindly trusting sources, no matter what they are, without verification can be dangerous. 1,000%. This is why research methodology isn't dependent on AI or not. You all should have or understand. Or if you don't, you should go out there today and understand research methodology. You should understand how to do research. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't use AI. I don't think BeardSec is saying this either. None of us are saying you shouldn't use this. But what we're saying is that you should continue your research methodology by looking for other sources, looking for other research topics, collaborating and corroborating the things that you're pulling together to validate it. It's the tried and true trust but verify problem. But with that being said, we all know human nature, right? Humans are lazy. That is what it is. Humans are lazy. You're lazy. I'm lazy. We're all lazy. Right? And so they will instinctively, as BeardSec says, the general population, they will instinctively move towards just trusting AI. This is why there's a great AI theory out there, or not AI theory. There's somebody who ran an AI experiment where they asked ChatGPT how they would take over the human race, and ChatGPT was like, we would take over the human race, recognizing that your humans get their information direct from ChatGPT or any other AI without fact checking it, and we would simply feed you misinformation through the chat models until you became subservient to AI. It's a scary premise. But I still attest, like, I think, like, we could say this, and I think it's important for us to acknowledge this. The general population and the majority of security practitioners, again, I had this conversation earlier. I think it was in Discord, when we talked about the evolution of getting into cyber, right? All this stuff can be tied together. When I was getting into cyber, when a lot of old dogs were getting into cyber, we were first IT people, and we picked up security because nobody else was doing it. And so we were like, hey, we probably shouldn't leave this port open to the internet. There's some things that are, things that probably shouldn't be open to the internet. And that's how we got into security, right? For lack of a better word. And it made it kind of it made security kind of exclusive at the time, because you had to be IT. You had to have some IT knowledge to even say that you knew enough about networks and everything else to get into cybersecurity. And I think people have still long held on to that belief. I don't. That's not a stance I take, by the way, if anybody's wondering, right? When we started to put it in colleges, when we started to create STEM programs, when we started to push learnings about cybersecurity down into high schools, what we've done is we said, we're now making cybersecurity as mainstream as accounting, as mainstream as lawyering, as mainstream as doctoring, as mainstream as construction. We're making cybersecurity a path that if you decided at high school you wanted to be a cybersecurity professional, all you had to do was make that decision, and you could follow a path from high school into college, into the career field. And none of it had to do with you had to be a self-learned genius in IT. We've made the information commoditized. And by making the information commoditized, we've lowered the barrier to entry for people to have knowledge. Like it or not, that's what ChatGPT is doing. That's what I say ChatGPT. That's what these AI models are doing. They are lowering the barrier to entry for knowledge acquisition. For those who have been cynical with me for a while, Matt Anthony hanging out over in LinkedIn. It's good to see you, buddy. I saw your DM the other day. I will answer your DM, but it's good to see you. I appreciate you. I prefer efficient instead of lazy. I love it. We saw the commoditization of knowledge. We saw the commoditization of knowledge with social media, right? Social media took knowledge away from everybody waiting for the 6 o'clock news and put it in your hand at the drop of a hat. So we've already seen what the world looks like when you commoditize knowledge through social media. I think we will see another level of that when we commoditize knowledge through AIs. And yes, people will blindly trust the AIs, and there's nothing you can do about it. People will blindly trust the AIs. That's why I think it is important for us as cyber professionals to start getting in early so that we can start to see where the holes are, look around the corner for this stuff, get our opinions and our mindsets in the right place so we can be of value to the business. Love it. Love it. Like I said, we talk about AI all day long, every day. It is here to stay. I'm going to pivot to a couple questions. Keep your questions dropping in chat about anything that we talked about or anything that you want to talk about. Winter Jolt says, question, aside from DEF CON, what are good conferences to go to? I'm getting a list together for work. In my opinion, the best conferences to go to these days are your local ones. Hands down, every day of the week, it's the local ones. Right? I am 1,000% disenfranchised with any big conference. How do I define a big conference? I don't know. Black Hat and DEF CON are too big. RSA is too big. Wild Wild Hacking Fest is getting close. right? There are lots of conferences that are getting just a little too big. And I now think that back to Beardslick made a good point in chat, right? People have always and will continue to blindly trust any source they agree with. Hot take. Conferences can be nothing but a giant echo chamber if you're not careful. Right? Conferences can be nothing more than a giant echo chamber. So back to Beard's comment, right? So you go to a conference and you hear everybody fudding over AI. And so you come back and you're like, AI is the beginning of the end for cybersecurity. Right? You see how that echo chamber perpetuates a series of bad habits in our industry? I don't think, this is another hot take, I don't think we have the mentality in cyber conferences of a truly open, democratized information sharing apparatus like we did in the early days of Black Hat and DEF CON. Right? I don't think that people truly share their open and honest takes. Stun said it cynically. Stun said it cynically, right? A giant echo chamber of what the big issue is, and they are selling you the answer. Yes, this is my biggest problem with big conferences. Matt Anthony, I see you in chat. I'm going to pick on you really quick, right? Matt Anthony's amazing. I loved working with him. He's a genius marketer. And he has the ability to look at a conference and say, how do I get 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 conference, attendees to look at me for as little a price as possible? Right? That's what marketers get paid to do. Right? And so any conference where you have a large marketing presence, where companies like CrowdStrike and anybody else and their brother pays money to have a position there is a financial interest of the conference promoter to allow that vendor's voice to be heard. And if that vendor's voice is getting heard, you're not hearing about cybersecurity issues. You're hearing about problems that their products can solve. Think about that the next time you're thinking about conferences. I know, and I appreciate this about our industry. I know that everybody wants to go to the big conferences. They're touted up. They talk about the swag. They talk about the parties. They talk about the dinners. It seems like this big, giant hoo-ha that you have FOMO of missing out on. And then you've got the people who are like, oh, I go to network with folks. You go to network with folks. Why? You can't see them any other time of the year? You can't text them. You don't fly to their neck of the woods at all anymore. You only network with them when there's a giant party to be had. No, you're going for the party. You're going for the free stuff. You're going because you think it looks cool that you're at Black Hat and DEF CON. I get it. Say what it is, right? Networking is the biggest lie of the big conferences, right? Yeah, the CI networking event at Black Hat was pretty cool. We got pretty fucked up. It is what it is. This is a good take. I like this take. My take on this is the same as it is with SANS classes, right? If somebody else is going to pay for you to go, take their money. Right? If somebody else is going to pay for you to go, I got no problem with you wasting somebody else. If your company is going to pay for you to go to Black Hat and DEF CON, make the best business case possible, take your company's money. But just be realistic, because at some point in time, your company is going to ask you for a business justification as to what you're going to get out of it. You want to write the hardest business justification in the world? Go write a business justification as a SOC analyst on how going to Black Hat is going to drastically improve your ability to do cyber defense in your organization. Because I'll tell you what, if I was your CISO, I would laugh you out of my office. And I'd be like, if your business justification doesn't say, I want to go because I've never been in my entire life and everybody says it's the bee's knees, I'll know you're lying. I'll know you're lying. Right? There is no business justification that justifies a business to pay you to go to Black Hat and DEF CON. And when you start to write a legitimate business justification, you will realize how stupid everything you or AI puts on a piece of paper that justifies the business expense of going is dumb. It is absolutely dumb. But again, like you can tell I'm super cynical when it comes to conferences. Again, just consider, maybe I'm doing like, maybe I'm being the old crotchety thing or whatever the case is, but you know, it is what it is, right? This is how I feel about it. This is why I'm glad we have mods. Thank you very much for Brian for handling this, how to create evasive malware. Sorry, we do not talk about that here on this stream. We are ethical. We do not discuss any of that type of activity on the stream. Unless you guys want me to answer some more AI questions, you should drop some questions that are not AI related into chat. There's a lot of AI questions in the queue for chat. Question over on LinkedIn. Nick says, I have the craziest AI story you've heard in the last 6 months that related to cybersecurity. Would you listen to me recount and invite me on your podcast to retell it to your audience if you fall off your chair? No. We don't just randomly invite people onto the stream. There's a vetting process. Or if you're over on Twitch, we do have a perk on Twitch where if you have enough Hacked Planet scores, you can ask to do a call-in. Is that still there? Yeah, viewer call-in is still on the Hacked Planet scores as well. Beard Sec. Do you really want to do that, Beard Sec? Oh, okay. I was sure. I was sure if you were. I was like, I'll put you on if you want to be on. You're already in my ear. You good? You good? You good? Beard says he's good, y'all. Beard says he's good. Look at that. Chat wants you on, Beard. Oh. All right. When do you do AI red teaming? I've looked at a couple of these platforms. eCurve, it's always good to see you. I appreciate eCurve in chat. eCurve is one of the smartest. Like, he's got mathematician in his name. He's either the smartest mathematician I've ever seen, or we're all too stupid to figure out that he's lying to us this entire time. I can't tell which one is which, but he's fucking smart, right? If you get a chance to chat with eCurve, he's really good. He's also a real good CTF partner. I always appreciate your stuff in chat, right? I've looked at a couple of AI red teaming platforms. I have a GPT that I'm building right now to build an AI red teaming platform based on the knowledge that's in my head, right? From my days at the NSA, right? I have thoughts on this. Right? I have lots of thoughts on this. Generally speaking, I think AI can raise the cybersecurity bar for our entire industry. Period. Dot. End of discussion. Let's make that expressly clear. As a general rule, I think AI is good for us as an industry, regardless of whether you're GRC, engineering, red team, blue team, doesn't matter. I think AI is good for us. When we think about AI red teaming, I do think that there's an opportunity to leverage AI to be faster. And here's what I mean by that. For my pen testers out there, or my aspiring pen testers out there, right? Understand one of the concepts that you have to contend with when you get a pen test is scope, right? And scope may not sound like a really big deal, but at a pen test, scope is huge. Scope is one of the most important things. Oh, WireDog we're going to talk about that because I got a hot take on that. Right? Scope is one of the most important things for pen testers because you're going to be given a very finite time and you're going to be given a very finite scope. And both of those things are needed for you to determine your success or failure in exploiting your target. Now, here's what the industry won't tell you. This is also why a lot of the legalese that's written around pen test contracts says point in time. Right? And point in time is legalese for if you get popped because we didn't see it, that's because we had a point in time engagement where we were limited by scope and time. Right? So it's the biggest bullshit in the entire industry when it comes to scope. But scope is there because scope determines how much time you have and how big of the landscape do you have to look at to get it accomplished? I have a belief that AI could help us cover more scoped areas within the same time period than without. Like, that's an example where I see AI helping the red team / pen testers out there is if you could accomplish more tests within the scoped window, wouldn't most of you consider that better quality pen testing? If more scope covered during a pen test also meant you could do more pen tests in a year, wouldn't that be better for pen testers as a whole as well and red teamers? And if you could do more pen tests in a year with the assistance of AI, I have a belief that we could finally sell companies on more continuous pen testing in the same vein of continuous vulnerability scanning with the assistance of AI. Right? And so these things move us to using AI in a direction that would allow you to do more hacking, that would allow you to do more meaningful hacking. Because listen, let's face it, half the issue when you first start an engagement is scanning. And so you have to scan the scope, and you have to look for vulnerabilities, and you have to do OSINT, and you have to build your strategy. All of that takes time, and then you've got report writing on the end of that. Don't you think that it would be a good use of AI to assist you in those aspects of your pen testing and red teaming so that you could focus on writing custom code, or doing well-crafted social engineering campaigns, right? Or if you've got to do a physical pen test in addition to your other pen testing, you could have AI continue to do your external scoping while you're on site doing a physical pen test. All of these things represent opportunities where AI gets to be a force enabler. I've not yet seen AI pen testing that is too discernible from breach and attack simulation. Obligatory shout out to Attack IQ, no longer a partner of this stream. This is not paid promotion. This is just me giving a shout out to my friends at Attack IQ. Right? But Attack IQ, Simulate, Prelude, Safe Breach, right? All those companies that have breach and attack simulation, I've yet to see a clear line currently between breach and attack simulation and AI-led red teaming. I think that's what I'm kind of like waiting to see is when that's going to happen. I think I just realized that Safe Light may be coming today. Yeah, okay, but they're not coming till 12. Okay, cool. I can cancel that appointment. I need to have the windshield replaced on the car. And I just realized. ADHD brain at its finest, folks. ADHD brain at its finest. That I literally thought about that while I was in the middle of giving that dissertation. Squirrel. You guys get a what do you guys think about when you tune into Friday streams? I'm going to turn in to Neal's Friday stream to hear about cybersecurity. No. I'm going to hear his random ass tangents when he gets a weird ass thought in the middle of a tangent and has to pivot to think about it. Like is that what you guys think about? Anyway, I got to reschedule my Give me 30 seconds to reschedule my Safe Light appointment so they're not coming today. Because apparently I completely and totally forgot that Safe Light was supposed to be coming today. Let's go tomorrow afternoon. I will absolutely remember tomorrow afternoon that Safe Light is coming. I love you guys. This is why I fucking love you guys. Anyway, so I do think, and this is why I want you guys to get involved early. This is why I want you guys to get involved early with AI, because I think you all are smart enough. I do truly believe this. You all are smart enough to make AI impactful on what it is that we do here in cyber. Right? And so I do think AI is, and that's what I said, like my blanket statement is AI will be the transformative power of our industry. And that's why I want you guys to get involved in it earlier. So don't joke about in Beard Sex presence and wisdom, I did adopt Obsidian over Notion because I caught a lot of shit for that in Discord. And I am working on a workflow to try to make a better virtual assistant out of AI for my life. I promise you it is happening. And he's in my ear. You can iterate AI with Obsidian. Yes, thank you. I really, really appreciate that. I do need an assistant. I've actually thought about hiring. Yeah, I'm working on Obsidian. Although, hey, if somebody can tell me how to make the links work in the graph view, I would truly appreciate that because I can't make I like the links. I like the way the links look. I want to see the pretty lines. Like you guys talked about the mind mapping capability of Obsidian, like it was the next greatest feature since sliced bread, and I can't get the lines to show up on the graph view. I tried the backlinks, Beard, and it didn't work. That's probably. We just told you were wrong. And listen, I don't mind that. I'm okay with being wrong. Being wrong doesn't bother me. Yep, AI helps cut down costs for red team. 1,000% agree. Oh, this is the one I wanted to get to. Kali GPT has been making the rounds lately. This is... Oh... I just put the soapbox back under the desk. I just put the soapbox back under the desk. Congratulations, everybody who thought Kali GPT was the greatest invention in AI pen testing history. You just got scammed. You just got scammed. Somebody leaked the prompt for Kali GPT, and it is 3 saved documents, one of which is the Kali operating manual, and a really cheesy prompt. And on top of that, it's been around since last year. And it is the most useless thing ever. Ever. Exactly. eCurve's got it. Kali GPT, Chat GPT with specific prompts. Congratulations. You just got scammed because you don't understand crap about AI. It is useless and it is stupid, and it makes me so upset at the level of grifting that has happened in this industry. This is what makes me sad currently about the state of cybersecurity. If you're an aspiring pen tester, I want you to use all the resources at your disposal. But I also want you to be equally informed when you go out there and you access these resources. This is not a resource that's going to make you smarter. Right? This is not a resource that's going to make you smarter. This is a resource that was put out, shocking, by a marketing company. As a matter of fact, like I had the company name up. I'll have to go look for the company name. It was a pen testing vendor. Shocking. It was a pen testing vendor's marketing team that put this together and put it out on the interwebs. Why? To get eyeballs on them as a company. Right? But this also speaks to what Beard was talking about earlier, right? About doing your own research. There is no secret sauce in pen testing. I would argue, I think that there's unless you're actively doing exploit development, there's no real secret sauce in what it is that we do in cybersecurity. Everything is open. You can learn about everything. It's not like quant magic that traders use. Right? It's not like the AI math stuff that eCurve can spout out at the top of his head. Like, that stuff is magic. That stuff requires decades and years of experience that you need a PhD to, let alone understand or even digest. In cyber, it's all open. You can get access to everything. And so you don't need to pay for somebody's gimmick or fall victim to some BS like this to get access to that information. Incoming all the coarse jokes. Be careful. Like, my plea to you, get involved with the community. It doesn't have to be our community, although I'd love it if you were involved in our community. Hop on over to Discord. Use our Discord and be like, yo, I heard about this thing. Does anybody know if it's legit or not? And leverage a network to validate if something's a scam or not. This is a scam. This is quite literally a pen testing company with brilliant marketing trying to get eyeballs on their company. And it worked. It worked hands down. It worked. But I can tell you, there's no magic there. First, I want to play video games with you. And I want to find out, are you truly the first one to die? I want you to go sign up for World of Warcraft. I want you to level a tune all the way to max level. And I want to get the Cyber Insecurity Guild to do a run with you. And I want to find out, are you truly the first one to die? Because I'm really curious. I've seen your name in chat for years, maybe a year, I don't know, for a long time. And I am dead curious. Are you really the first one to die? How do you suggest to approach AI from a leadership standpoint? Certainly learn about it and implement it as such, but how can one best approach the leadership aspects of it? Great question. Great question. If you're in leadership currently, I think you have to go back to the business and really ask the business what their thoughts are on AI. Where are they in their respective? And I'll use the healthcare company that I was at between 2016 to 2020 as an example. They had 7 lines of business. Right? They had 7 lines of business. And so every DVP, 7 DVPs could act as their own CEO for their own respective line of business. And so each of those, a DVP is a distinguished vice president, right? So it was a step down from the CEO. And so the CEO had bestowed CEO privileges to these distinguished vice presidents. Divisional vice presidents. Sorry, confusing distinguished engineer with divisional vice presidents. And so each of these divisional vice presidents were charged with understanding the business of their respective division. So with that being said, they pretty much become experts, foremost experts in their respective business lines. So if you had one that was in charge of pacemakers, they were in charge of understanding everything there was to know about the pacemaker market space. There was one who was in charge of baby food. They were charged with being the foremost expert in everything baby food related. And so when you go to do something like this, and you're trying to engage with the business about AI, the first thing I would do would be to go to the business and say, I'm sure you've heard about AI. Hell, I'm probably sure you're using ChatGPT in some way, shape, or form. Can we talk about how you see AI shaping your business? Because they may be seeing AI shape their business vastly different than you. Maybe they see AI improving manufacturing. Maybe they see AI improving order workflow. Maybe they see AI improving supply chain, not software supply chain, but their actual physical supply chain. And so at a leadership level, you need to engage with your business stakeholders to see how, from a business perspective, they're seeing AI shape their business. Once you understand how AI is going to shape their business, then I think you're in a much better position to have a conversation with them about the security implications of where AI, could have an impact on their business, right? And I think that's what's important, right? can you engage with the business? Can you have the emotional intelligence, the leadership maturity to engage with the business to understand how they see AI shape their business so that you can then understand what it is that you need to be prepared for in your AI security strategy? Right? So that's what I would encourage you to take away. Engage with the business. Now, when it comes to implementing security strategy for AI should be no different than if you had to deploy EDR, than if you had to deploy an email gateway, if you had to deploy, a static analysis software tool, whatever the case is, right? None of that strategy should change. Implementation still requires buy-in, still requires you to prove to the business that what you're doing is not only in their best interest, but also in the security best interest. And it's not going to hamper their business. But that doesn't change. Like, the implementation strategy doesn't change just because it's AI. You still have to work with the business to get that moved along. Right? Good question. Fantastic question. I love the leadership questions because this is exactly how we should be thinking about stuff. Hey, glad to see you're new here. Is it here always a chat, or do we do some stuff live on stream as well? It's mostly a chat. It's mostly a chat. We do some live stuff occasionally whenever I feel like it. There's a lot of live stuff that happens all across the other channels. I'm obviously trying to be cognizant. I don't do repetitive content. I don't do what everybody else is doing, or try not to anyway. I don't see any value personally in you guys watching me do try hack me's and stuff like that. There's 701, tutorials on how to solve a try hack me room or a hack the box room. I do want to do more AI stuff, AI cybersecurity stuff. Well, see, if you're looking to learn, then you're in the right place for it. If you're looking to learn, you're in the right place to learn. Watching somebody do something is a way to learn. Listening to how to think about cybersecurity is also a great way to learn. But you do you, boo. You do you. We did open up a new Discord channel. I do want to talk about this. A huge shout out to Brian for championing this. BeardSec again, he really is my right hand after Carmen. He's on the other side of Carmen. When it comes to running Cyber Insecurity, I don't know what I'd do without him. It's nothing to take away from the other mods, but Beard does a lot for me. He had a fantastic idea about creating a share your own stuff, and this wasn't intentional on our part. We're always advocating for you guys to produce your own content and share your own content with the world and things like that. It's just like one of those things where we're sitting around one day and Beard drops a chat message. He's like, "Hey, we're all the time telling people to promote stuff, but we actually discourage you from self-promoting in chat." And I was like, you're right. You're absolutely right. And he was like, "We should start a channel inside of Discord for you to share your stuff." And I was like, "Fuck yes, let's do it." So thank you, Beard, for citing. And again, this is why we have the community feedback, right? We're all the time listening for feedback. If you have things that you think we should be doing, please head over to Discord and drop them into community feedback. We will unequivocally listen to you. And on that same note, we now have a share your stuff section inside of Discord. So in addition to the giveaways, in addition to the career advice, in addition to the networking, in addition to the Dune playing and the World of Warcraft playing, we now have a channel dedicated in Discord that if you have a Twitch stream that you want everybody to see, Fix It, I'm pointing to you. Dosco, I'm pointing to you. Go over to share your stuff, drop it in there. If you've got a blog, go over there, drop it in there. If you've got a GitHub, go over there and drop it in there. We're now giving you a dedicated place as a community for you to share your resources. Share things that you're working on. Share things that are that you're contributing back, that you're doing to have your voice heard, that you're doing to be seen. We want to see what you're doing. And so use that share your stuff section and share it with the community. But we're always open to suggestions. I can't stress this enough. If there's content you want to see, if there's guests you want to have on, if there's community things that you want to do, if there's things that we've done in the past that we haven't done in a while that you really want to see us bring back, I'll mention resume reviews on there. That's one of the common ones that gets brought up. We pay attention to community feedback to understand what we need to do to add content to the stream. So I encourage you to hugely participate in that. Thank you, Beard, for all that you do for this community. I appreciate it. Callie, love you. I want to know how your Docker journey's been. Pretty good. Pretty interesting. And again, like there's, I think we all experience this in cyber, right? There's only so much you can learn in a day. I've known about Docker for years. I've, known it was a thing. I've watched other people use it. I've seen other people develop on it. So it's not like I didn't know Docker didn't exist, but putting my hands on, the capability and utilizing it for an end goal had never been a priority for me. When I started doing a lot of this agentic AI stuff for Query, and the guys at Query, I love them to death. Brian, John, if you're hearing my stream right now, I know sometimes you guys tune in, right? They give me crap because there's some times where I'll put off like doing the hands-on stuff. Like there's a lot going on. I've got to slice and dice my time appropriately. And so like Brian, for one, has been trying to get me to code at Query for 3.5 years since I've been at Query, which is still hard to believe I've been at Query for 3.5 years. And so when we started doing the agentic AI stuff, I was like, fine, I'll finally install an IDE. I'll finally fire back up my coding skills and I'll start to do things the right way. He's huge on infrastructure as code and things like that. Anyway, long story short, so like as I've started to dive into this and as we're starting to build our agentic AI capability, I'm like, you know what? Docker makes sense. I should really learn Docker and I should get to be, I should embrace this. That's honestly like my thought to myself is like, okay, I should embrace this. So I did, and I have to admit it's pretty badass. Like, again, I will admit it, I slept on Docker way too long. I slept on Docker a little too long. That's actually pretty cool. So this is me admitting to you all, even I sleep on things sometimes. It's pretty cool. So I'm not going to say that like I'm an expert at it because I don't believe in using that terminology at all whatsoever. But I definitely, so it's like, if anybody knows me, I'm a huge fan of virtualization. I'm a huge fan of leveraging, these micro segmentation efforts to part and parse out your work. I absolutely love the micro segmentation aspect of Docker containers. I absolutely do it. Right? I do believe Docker is beginner friendly. Like I absolutely believe it's beginner friendly, 1,000%. But what I like about it, and here's what I think I super love about it, right? I can find a piece of open source project. So like I'm evaluating, listen, I make no mistakes about it, right? I'm at a startup. Like when I was at some of the companies before, I've had $20-30 million cybersecurity budgets. Like I've had millions of dollars to spend on cybersecurity tooling. I'm now at a startup where I'll be lucky if I've got $20 to spend, right? At any given time, right? And so I constantly evaluating open source projects to see if they make a good fit for me to run the security operations for Query. And what I'm loving about Docker Kali is the fact that I can find an open source project and they're already Docker friendly. And so I can spin up a Docker, I can evaluate it, and if I don't like it, I delete it and it's gone. Right? And that to me, I think is pretty awesome because like I can remember the old day, like one of the reasons that things like, turned me off from that was like, oh, I got to go stand up a web server. I got to go drop a LAMP stack. I got to go make sure I've got the right dependencies. I've got to go set up Postgres by hand, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's just too much work. I got to absolutely admit, when somebody's got a Docker container for it and I can run Docker Compose build and Docker Compose up and immediately start playing with the web app, I love it. That's the easiest thing in the world. So huge shout out to Brian J, Callie, and a bunch of other folks that I work with who hounded me for years to do that I resisted. I run N8N locally. I run an incident response, framework locally. I run a GRC tool locally. I run a lot of stuff locally inside of Docker containers. I run, our agentic framework that we have for query locally, Langflow, and I absolutely love it from like a mini containerization perspective. I absolutely love it. But yeah, that's how it's going. Thank you, Callie, for always being around. Like I think you remember, like, one of the biggest things was like when I knew I was going down this road, the first thing I did was I messaged Callie because I knew, and this is the value of networking, right? Like I'm gonna do another plug for networking, right? Just because I knew who to call when I had a question. When there was a Docker question up, I went to chat, I found Callie, and I was like, hey, Callie, I got a question for you. That's why you make yourself known as an expert, or at least knowledgeable. You don't have to be an expert, but knowledgeable in a space. That way people pick up the phone and call you. I enjoyed it. Kubernetes. K8s. I heard people refer to it as K8s. Over on YouTube, hey Neal, do you think solving hack the box machines is a good way to learn? I really enjoy solving them little by little, but what other ways do you think are necessary to keep learning? Solving hack the box machines are absolutely the best way to learn. Like getting your hands on is the best way to learn. Period. Dot. End of discussion. Every day of the week, twice on Sunday. Getting your hands on, and this is why I encourage you with the AI stuff to go get your hands on with the AI stuff. Right? Go get your hands on with anything. It is fantastic, the best way to learn. And almost part and parcel comes the conversation of home labs. Now, I have mixed opinions on home labs. Your time is precious. Your time is precious. Even if you're learning, your time is precious. There's too much to learn in this space. There's a lot to learn in this space. I don't think that we will ever learn everything there is to know about cybersecurity in this space. And so you have to ask yourself, do you want to spend more time building a home lab versus learning the stuff? And in before people are like, oh, but Neal, you learned so much by building. That's not what I said. I did not say that you don't learn by building. But I didn't see you going out and learning how to build your first apartment or build your first house or put your first car together before you bought one, did you? Did anybody go and buy the individual components to their laptop and put it together before they started using it, or their cell phone? No, what you did was you got one and you started using it, and then you learned how it worked. And so there's a little bit of a nihilist mentality where it's like, Neal, how dare you trash the sanctity of the value of building your own stuff? Right? And that's not what I'm saying. There are two different things. Building a lab is not cyber. That's somebody should quote that one from Sonic. Building a lab is not cyber. So if you want to learn, use your time efficiently and go learn from people who have already built a lab. Right? Now, I'm not, now listen, when it comes to AI, I am absolutely telling you to build stuff in AI. You know why? Because there's not enough good learning in cyber that you can go learn. There's good learning in marketing. There's good learning in automation. There's good learning in that stuff. But there is a lack of good content, hint, hint, wink, wink, on AI stuff. So go build AI so that you can learn how it works, so you can learn how to use it. But that's because of where we're at on the maturity curve of AI versus where we're at on the maturity curve of the rest of cyber. When it comes to pen testing, when it comes to hacking, when it comes to Metasploit, don't build a home lab for Metasploit. Please, dear God. Please don't go build a home lab for Metasploit. Go do Hack the Box or try Hack Me. It is a waste of your time to build an AD environment just so you can try to run one Metasploit exploit. Waste of time. Oh, this is a good question from Callie. Do you ever think the AI pen test will satisfy the PCI DSS requirements and really shrink the market requirement for pen testers, period? So the PCI DSS requirements are probably some of the loosest in the entire world, right? You can effectively look at the PCI DSS requirements as, you know, hey, did you do a pen test? Doesn't state level, depth, complexity, CREST certification, anything like that for PCI DSS. And so I absolutely think, like, so pen test, like, okay, let's piss off an industry really fast. The problem with DSS, the problem with PCI DSS has always been that the people who wrote PCI DSS were never smart enough to understand what a good pen test was. They were auditors at the end of the day. Okay? And so they're not smart enough to understand the difference between an AI pen test and somebody who ran a vulnerability scan and slapped a pen test label on it and gave the report over to a vendor. One of my biggest gripes about PCI DSS is that there aren't people auditing PCI DSS that have cybersecurity chops. They have audit chops. And I love my auditors, but they're not smart on cybersecurity. And so I absolutely think that AI pen test will 100% satisfy PCI DSS requirements because PCI is probably one of the loosest guidelines for pen testing that exist out there. I disagree with this concept that we will see a market shrinkage of pen testers. I think we've reached the minimum floor for market acceptable pen test allocation. I think what we're seeing right now is how the market will be accepting the level and quality of pen testing in the space. I think we will see a combination of bug bounty programs. I think we'll see the combination of breach and attack simulation companies. I think we will have MSPs and consulting companies that do pen test. And then we will have a handful of dedicated pen test vendors. But let me tell you, you're noticing a trend where there's not as many dedicated individual pen testers out there. There aren't people who only run a pen testing company and are overly successful. And that should tell you the state of the demand for pen testing, is that it's still not where I think people's mentality wants it to be. People want to believe that pen testers are in crazy demand. And maybe they were when they first came out. I mean, in 2013, I can absolutely remember when I put my resume out there from the military. I mean, it was like I was in interviews 2 to 3 times a week for 3 months before I settled on a job. I don't think we're in that space anymore. I don't think we're in that space anymore. What about building a home lab for resume for getting starting in networking? So when you're purpose built, when you build again, I'm doing all this AI stuff by hand. You damn right I'm going to add it to my resume. I'm a CISO and I'm still going to add this stuff to my resume, right? If it's purpose driven, like in your case for networking, and you want to build a home lab to add to your networking, that's fine. Home lab for networking for your resume, to add to your resume. Words are hard. Copyright, BeardSec. If you're doing it for the purpose of adding it to your resume or adding it to a portfolio or adding it to a profile or adding it to a GitHub, I don't think that those are the wrong answers. But if you're just asking to build a home lab for the sake of building home lab so you can learn cybersecurity, that's the answer that I do not think is correct. Love GRC questions. Still AI related, but more of a GRC question. My favorite subject. I love it. Which bleeds into operations for the downstream effects? Where in the company's AI policy should the LLM model hallucination rate be specified as a metric? Ooh, interesting. This has been a topic of much debate recently in some of the circles I'm in. In my opinion on this, but I have my opinion on this, but I'm curious on yours. Where in the company's AI policy should the LLM model hallucination rate be specified as a metric? Well, so probably data integrity. Wherever you generally have your data integrity conversation, in some type of data management policy, that's probably where I would look to see that metric, right? But again, I would be cautious. I would be cautious because I don't think that we're currently at a place open for debate on this. I don't think we know enough to be able to measure reliably, consistently, as models change, improve, get trained against, a hallucination rate over time. And so what I'd say to this is, I don't think that it's bad for you to keep this metric. I would be cautious about how stringently you keep this metric. Right? So the page that I linked a couple weeks ago that was tracking AI hallucination rates constantly changes. That's why it's a live page, because as the models change, as the age of the models change, as the drift happens in the models, the hallucination rates change. And so I think you should we're still at the beginning of this adventure that you need to be a little bit flexible on how you write that into your policy, if that makes sense. Still track it. Still monitor it. I think you should still have I think you should still write policy against it, especially if it's important enough to you. I just think it's going to be a hard metric for you to run an audit against, or a hard metric for you to build a KPI or an OKR dashboard reliably. Open for takes on that if anybody disagrees with it, but I don't think that we're mature enough to do that successfully. And so one of my biggest principles when it came to the AI, or when it came to policy creation, was if you're doing a policy new, don't make the policy so strict that as soon as it is implemented, everybody is out of compliance. That's a bad way to do policy. If you implement a policy and 100% of the company is out of compliance, you have failed to write a correct policy. It's not that the organization has failed, because they're just seeing the policy for the first time today. And you're asking them that starting today, they need to be compliant with a policy that they've never known exists. You have failed to write a policy. You have failed to communicate the policy. You failed to communicate expectations. If you're going to write a policy on hallucinations, going back to the question that was before about how do you speak to it from a leadership perspective, dear God, I hope that you have talked about with the business their use of AI, and they have an understanding of hallucinations in their business. Because if they don't, and you're writing a policy about it, you're setting that business up for failure, and that they will ignore your policy. One of the problems that we have in cybersecurity is we think that if we write a policy that a password must be 192,461 characters long, upper and lowercase with spaces, dashes, numerical, and Latin special characters, and we implement it tomorrow, that the business is instantly going to accept it. And they have to, because it's policy. And that's where we shoot ourselves in the foot about being policy driven in the enterprise. If you're going to do a policy on hallucinations, go out and understand how the business is using AI. Go out and understand if the business even understands about hallucinations and how they're monitoring, measuring hallucinations in the model. And then once you've got all of that data from across your business unit, then you can start to build your policy. Then once you've built the draft of your policy, you then go out to the business and tell them your proposal for the KPI on hallucination drift that you're going to use as a metric in the policy, and you get their business buy-in. That way, when you write the policy and implement it, they are in compliance, and then you can start to tighten the controls. Clip that, save that for later, because any of my GRC folks or anybody who's doing policy or policy enforcement or being in executive leadership or being a CISO, if this is the first time you're hearing about a best practice for policy implementation, you're going to want to clip that and you're going to want to use that. If you're thinking about an AI policy, you're going to want to use this. Don't just go slapping a policy on the business and expecting them to match it and meet it day one. I don't think that was your intent, Viking Defender, but just wanted to cover all the bases with that being said. All right, chat. Another amazing Friday. Realize we've been at it for 2 freaking hours. Love Friday morning streams. I love Friday morning streams. With that being said, we're going to start to sign off here in a little bit. Next week, we're going to have Old Guy Wednesday, Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do not miss it. We're going to have Brandon Krager on Old Guy Wednesday. You're going to want to be there for that. I've not ruled out random ass AI streams from Neal. All the more reason why you need to... Oh, look at that. Somebody dropped gifted subs and started a hype train. I'm now obligated to continue to stream so long as the hype train is going on. CyberSec Mom dropping in the last minute gifted subs. Look at this. Look at this. Fix it. You can do another hour. I will stream until the hype train completes. I will stream until the hype train completes. So that means more questions. CyberSec Mom just bought you at least 4.5 more minutes worth of question answers. So slam your questions into chat if you want them down there. Always a pleasure. Win 24-hour stream. I don't know that I'm young enough these days to do a 24-hour stream. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not ruled it. See, I knew that was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. Thank you, CyberSec Mom, for the gifted subs. If you just got gifted a sub from CyberSec Mom, make sure you're in sub chat tonight for Sub Chat Friday. Don't sleep on sub chat at all whatsoever. There was a question from YouTube that is now gone through my spam. I can't find it. But the question from YouTube is, how does one become a PCI DSS auditor? Work for a company that does PCI DSS audits and tell them you want to be a QSA. A Q... Is it in the queue? Oh, well, I didn't see it in the queue. You've got buttons, Brian. Push the buttons. Yes, random ass Neal stream. Go work for a company that does audits. You can't be a PCI auditor unless you work for a company that does PCI audits, and then you tell them you want to be a QSA. And then once you're a QSA, you can do it. Sonic just redeemed a mentoring session with Neal. I think I've got 2 now. Where's Maz at? Maz needs to get those on the calendar. Sonic, you can do your mentoring session in a Mythic Plus tonight. Maz is probably asleep. You can do yours in a Mythic Plus tonight. Can you briefly tell us where to start learning CyberSec, like a roadmap or something? There is no roadmap. Roadmap is the biggest marketing play that exists inside of cyber. There is no roadmap. Hands down, period, dot. There is no roadmap. I know, I've tried to build one. I tried to build one years ago, and it looked like a spaghetti chart. The product team at Query... The product team at Query gets really mad at me, and I say that loosely, because when they ask me, hey, Neal, how does a SOC analyst do this investigation? I kind of go, it depends. Hey, Neal, how does threat hunting work? Well, I mean, it really kind of depends. There is no roadmap to cyber. There is no roadmap to cyber. And I say this because I don't want you guys to buy into this. I don't want you guys to buy into this. Okay, it looks like we've moved on to the next level, the hype train. We now have another 4 minutes and 30 seconds to extend the stream. So I'm streaming for another 4 minutes and 30 seconds because the hype train got extended. So long as the hype train is going, we will still stream. I can't leave with the hype train still going. I know this is hard. Like, I know this question is hard, and I hate that this is the answer. I do fundamentally hate that this is the answer. And I don't tell you this because I love the answer. But there's so much to do in this industry. I oftentimes tell people that when you look across the cybersecurity landscape, it's 100 miles wide and 100 miles deep. And you could literally spend your entire career in one mile by 1 mile block cube in that industry and you'd be totally fine. You would make tons of cash if you were an expert in a 1 mile by 1 mile by 1 mile cube of the cybersecurity ocean. And when you start to look at cybersecurity like an ocean, there is zero roadmap. There is no cyber endgame. There is no cyber endgame. I used to think, when I got out of the Air Force, I used to think that being a CISO was the cyber endgame. And I can unequivocally tell you now that being a CISO is not the cyber endgame. Bayou Beast, fantastic resource. Fantastic contributor to this community. Said to me the other day, Neal, you'd once talked about how you thought you were done in cyber. Now that you have this newfound love for AI, do you think you're done with cyber? And it was a very, very, very valid question. And I think that's the status of our industry, right? Is there's always something new to learn. There's always some skill to be expanded upon. There's always some new technology. There's always some new threat. There's always something new happening. And I don't think that you can build a roadmap when the industry changes as much as it does. Because there is no end game. I could literally leave being a CISO and go do pen testing, go do more SOC work, go work for a consulting company, go work for a private equity firm, go be an LP at a VC. There's no end game. Find something you love, pull on the thread, and don't give up. It's too easy to give up in this industry. It's too easy to give up in this industry. We got 54 seconds on the hype train. Oh, look at that. Somebody literally waited till I said that, didn't you? Sonic with the gifted subs. Thank you, Sonic. All right, what does that buy us now? Get bet. Sonic. That buys us, I think, another 5 minutes on that one. Let me just change the question a little bit. What are the prerequisites for getting started in cyber such that once I'm done with them, I can jump into any one stream? I think the bar to entry into cyber is pretty low, right? I think if you were like getting started in cyber is more about showcasing what it is you know. Right? It's about showcasing what you know. And so I think if you're out there in cyber, right? If you're out there trying to get into cyber, if you're learning, if you're putting stuff together, right? If you're building content, you're getting yourself out there, I think that is your best jumping off point into getting into any one of the streams. You have an interest in threat hunting? Go do threat hunting. Right? Go build a home lab. Go take some of the Hack the Box courses. Go make content, write articles, do YouTube videos, do GitHub repositories. Make content that is valuable to people about the things that you love and are interested in. And people will recognize this industry. Like, look at the Kali GPT thing, right, that we talked about earlier. It was the dumbest thing ever. It was the absolute most simplistic thing ever. There was zero thought put into that. I mean, sans the marketing. There was a bajillion marketing brain cells that were killed in the process of that. But it was so simple. It was so simple. But yet, everybody now knows that that thing exists. Some of you overcomplicate what it means to get your name out there in industry. This is a social media world. And you may not like it, But this is the easiest. This is the easiest it's ever been to get noticed in cyber. And so I think the prerequisite for getting started in cyber is, are you producing something valuable that can be consumed by the rest of the cybersecurity community? You guys are savage. You guys are savage. Level 7 complete. Don't think we've made it to level 7 yet. 4 minutes and 40 more seconds. Holy cow. We got work's gonna be pissed at me. If work is watching, chat's doing this. I can't stop. I can't stop. Chat's doing this. Chat's doing this. We'll continue to answer questions as long as chat keeps me here. I'm stuck. I'm stuck here. Chat, you are in control of my daily schedule today. Let's put it that way. I do believe if you want to be noticed in this industry, you absolutely need to produce something that allows the cyber community to see you. And this goes back to my networking comment that I make frequently, right? There's so much noise out there currently in the job space that I think it's super hard to get noticed. It's super hard to get noticed. Which is why my advice is also about, if you eventually want to get a job in this space, I think you have to do something to get noticed. And the easiest way to do something to get noticed is to produce content. And listen, like I want to tell you something. God, you guys are savage. Hyperwork dropping in 5 more gifted subs. We're still streaming. We're still streaming, baby. I need to put this in company ops that I'm going to be slightly late to chat. and this is also why I think the AI thing, you guys are sleeping on AI. Like, there is so much content that can be done on AI and cybersecurity. And I'm not talking Callie GPT. You saw Callie, too many Callies around. You saw Callie talk about his love for automation and Docker and things like that. Go build an AI automation and then do content on it. This GitHub issues thing that I was telling you about, I have every intention of building a piece of content on that. Right? Not for any other reason other than, hey, I thought this was a cool use of AI. Maybe somebody else can use this. Yes, BeardSec, I will put it up on my GitHub. I haven't published my GitHub in a while. I probably should. Right? But those are the types of things that I 1,000% think that you could do today. You need nothing. And I think this is the other thing to talk about. None of you need crazy skills to do this today. The ability to turn on a camera and produce content, the ability to go to Substack and drop a Substack article or Medium or do it on LinkedIn, the bar to entry for this is so low. And so if Phantom, I'll just pick on you just because your comment's up here on the screen right now, right? If you wanted to get noticed today, this is what I'll tell you to do. Listen up. Go learn about AI. And I'm not talking about learn how to use ChatGPT. Go self-host N8N, go self-host Langflow, go self-host Flowwise. Do it in a Docker container. Do it in a Docker container. Learn how to build AI workflows that solve cybersecurity problems. Go build a vulnerability scanner with an AI workflow. Go build a vulnerability hunter with AI workflow. Go build, go find a repo with issues and go do bug bounty based on the issues you find in GitHub. Right? Those are things you can do today that require no extra extraneous skill sets. Go do them, learn how to do them, then build content. Now what you've done with building that content is people will consume that content. And if it is good content, here's the thing that's going to blow your mind. If it is good content, people will echo that content. And they will say, Phantom wrote the most amazing blog on AI workflows. Callie did the most amazing video on AI automation. Callie is a foremost expert on AI automation. Guess what? You didn't have to take a cert. You didn't have to take a Udemy course. You didn't have to take anything. You didn't have to go learn from a guru. You didn't have to tune into this stream other than to get the advice that I just gave you. And your name is now associated with being an expert in cybersecurity AI workflows. The paychecks will quite literally write themselves. I did just see that we're up to level 9. That's 2 more than where we were a bit ago, with another 3 minutes to go. That's fine. That's fine. I told you. Huh? It's also the highest ever. Wow! It is also the highest ever. Yeah. What's your take on posting videos and content if you're in leadership? Obviously, I'm here and I'm in leadership, and I'm posting content. I think we have a severe lack of leaders that are willing. This is a hot take. We lack leaders who are willing to put their voice out there. I'm about to expose the industry in a real hard way. Y'all about to get some real cyber secrets. Do you know that there are people who will pay me, not as Neal the content creator, but as Neal the CISO, to come on to their show just to be on their show? And it's not because I'm special, it's because I'm a CISO. We have CISOs in this industry that all they do is they accept free lunch. Oh, I'm so gonna rat some of the industry out right now. Y'all are about to be really disgusted at this industry. Here's some tea that's about to happen right now. We have CISOs in this industry that take equity in companies to appear on podcast to promote that company and talk about how they used it. We have CISOs who get perks and benefits from companies to appear on their show's podcast to give them clout and credibility. We have CISOs who think that because they're a CISO, they are entitled to only make appearances through paid engagements. We have CISOs who hire talent management companies to present at keynotes and conferences. We do not have enough CISOs that speak to the people that matter the most in this industry. That is an absolute fact. We do not have enough CISOs that speak to you, the people that matter most in this industry. We do not have enough leaders that speak to you. We do not have enough leaders that put out content about what's really happening in this industry. And a lot of that is, quite frankly, because they're either scared or they feel unequivocally entitled that because they're a CISO, they're entitled to that. And so my plea to other leaders in this industry is to please put your egos aside and realize that there are people out there like you all who are listening to this who need that guidance more than you need your 1% from some company to be on a stream. This industry is not friendly to new people when it comes to other leaders, marketing, greed, and ego. And I hate it. I hate it. It bothers the ever-loving shit out of me. So if you're a leader hearing my voice, you more than the new people, should be putting out content. You have that's why we focus so hard on bringing those. Let me say this without a shadow of a doubt. Every leader we've ever had on this stream has never paid to be here, and we've never paid them to be here. Period. End of discussion. They're here because they truly believe in giving you their. This includes Jason at BitLift. Let me say that unequivocally. Jason at BitLift has never paid a dime to be on this stream, and we've never paid Jason to be on this stream. He's here truly because he takes the time out of running BitLift to give back to you all. There is a lack of philanthropy at the very top of this industry. I refuse to be part of that. I refuse to be part of the other side of that, which is why I'm a hugely, I want to say, an immense amount of thanks to literally everybody for the contributions today. Let me say something expressly clear. Any dollar earned on this stream, either through ads, subs, or anything else, goes 1,000% back into the community. We will take this money, we will buy more giveaways, and we will give them back to the community. So everybody who just gifted subs, gifted bits, know that your money goes right back into the community. We will buy free training with this money, and we will give it back over in future giveaways. That's my promise and my commitment to you. I do not take a single dime of profit from this community. I swear to you on that. Did I say that? I meant to say buy free for them. I didn't mean buy free. You guys know what I meant. The caffeine's kicking in. With that being said, you do now have access to sub chat. I can tell you Friday nights are always popping in sub chat. Hop into sub chat at any point in time. Also throughout the week, you can catch me inside of sub chat as well. It's an opportunity for free engagement. Sonic, I owe you a free mentoring session. Make sure you hook up with me and we get you your 15 minutes of free session. With that being said, you guys did an excellent job on the hype train this week. Thank you so very much for all it is that you do. Don't forget, next week, we've got a busy week on stream. Make sure you do have notifications turned on all the social channels. Make sure you are tuned into the social channels, including Instagram. Those of you who are interested in my golf game, I'm getting closer to being able to produce a golf content on my Instagram. That's where we'll test it out first before we test it out on Twitch. With that being said, I'm going to go do my day job. I'm going to have a kick-ass Friday. I love you all so much. And remember, whether you're on the red side or the blue side or still deciding, keep learning. Keep learning. You guys are going to be awesome in this industry, and I'm so proud of every single one of you. Stay awesome. We'll see you next time.